one, so I've been so excited for like 4 years for Doom Eternal, and finally picked it up. It's just met so many of my expectations, and I loved it so much. It's so worth the wait. I've been a big Doom fan. It's one of the first games that I actually ever played, Doom 64 and all the old ones. So this game has always been pretty close to me, and I've always found it so much fun. I mean, this and Wolfenstein ID are the guys who basically invented the first-person shooter genre, and they keep redefining the genre, and especially here too. There's so much respect to what classic Doom was, and then building apart from all the fun that they put into the reboots, and it just continues to be so expansive and amazing. So without further ado, let's get into talking about Doom Eternal. So yeah, this game is just bigger, louder, badder, more slick, just everything is amped up, and they did an amazing job, like I said, just building off the success that the first game had, and they do like really good tweaks. It has a really good story. The multiplayer is really good, but I'm going to kind of break it down and talk about the single player first. So with the campaign, it takes, if you're going to search around and find all the collectibles and everything, I want to say first playthrough is probably going to take you anywhere around 20 to 25 hours, which is really, really good for your money's worth, I found. And it's always so much fun to play because the Doomslayer feels and looks so powerful and so slick. You get a lot of really good upgrades, and from that too, the demons and all the enemies that you face have upgrades too, and it is actually quite challenging, and the game kind of demands your respect, and it will reward you from respecting the game. So it's kind of, they'll throw so much at you, but once you kind of start to learn the combat mechanics, how these demons move, and how to properly play them and play against them, it rewards you in really big ways. And kind of some of the ways that I can think that the game does this, just all the different enemy types and learning how to face them. Whereas in the first Doom, the Caco demons, you just basically have to shoot until they die, you get the glory kill on them. But in this one, if you use any rocket attachment on the guns, it'll basically swallow, especially on the combat shotgun, it'll swallow the grenade and it explodes inside of it, and you have an instant glory kill, and that's just an easy way to take them out. And same thing too with the Marauders. They are such a force and a menace at first, but once I noticed that once you hit them with the combat shotgun, they stagger a little bit. I found that if I paired it with a rocket launcher or even the plasma rifle, this was a great way to deal huge damage on them, because you got to do it quick, but they stagger back and you can get 2 hits opposed to just kind of hitting him with the shotgun as many times as you can. There's also little things too, like how in the first game, if you're running low on ammo, the chainsaw was the way to go, where you take out one of the lower enemies and you get all the ammo back, and that still remains the same here, but they added that on for armor and health, where you have basically this little shoulder cannon, and one of them is called the flame belch, and when you hit an enemy with that, they'll start to basically bleed armor, and the more damage you deal with them, the more armor they're going to drop for you. So you want to kind of use that on enemies, I want to say quick, because you deal more damage, you get more armor. It's the same thing where there's also basically like a freeze ray that you have, or like a freeze grenade that you have on your shoulder, and same thing too, you use that, you get health from the enemies instead of armor. So kind of, you got to pay attention to where your stats are, and then you use all of those abilities to basically bring you back to where you want to be for the fights and what you need the most to continue fighting. Like I said, there's these little things that it doesn't point out. It'll give you little hints that this is the way you should be doing it, and then it rewards you huge when you start to follow it this way. But all that being said, there's so much customization that they throw into this game that, like, it feels very multiple choice sometimes in the abilities and how you can choose them. You can unlock everything, definitely too, if you're running around and finding all the secrets and collectibles that you can do. But I don't think too many people are going to be able to play this game the same, just because of how expansive it is and the customizations, just how many different ways you can play it. There are, of course, certain ways that you should be taking out these enemies, or like quicker ways to do it, but you don't have to do it. You can make it as difficult, as fun, as easygoing, or as expansive as you want. Like, there's barrel shooting that you can still do to take out large crowds. There's just so many ways to play it, and it's so much fun. And two, with all the different enemy types, they bring back classic enemies from Doom 2, which would be the Archvile, or even the Pain Elemental, which is kind of a buffed version of the Caco Demon. And even too, there's buff totems in this game where you have to destroy these first, or else all the demons are going to keep just basically spawning relentlessly on you. And they're tougher and better to face. So the game always kind of switches up and keeps you on your toes in every single scenario. When it comes to the puzzles in this game too, they're really expansive and they range quite a bit, where there could be, like as I was kind of saying a little earlier, there's combat challenges, but there's also little platforming challenges to get from one section of the map to the other to just advance the story, but also for your collectibles, where timing your boosts, your jumps, everything, like there's little platformers that you can swing and climb on, and you got to time it really, really well to basically get from one section to the other to find all these collectibles in the world. There's even the Doomslayer has like this big man cave called the Fortress of Doom, and this is kind of all the collectibles you found throughout the game are basically here. And there's also little sections where you can unlock new armor and more abilities for your Doomslayer. There's kind of toys and collectibles, and even there's a computer where you can play the entirety of Doom 1 and Doom 2 on it, and it's a lot of fun to kind of just explore this. It's not as expansive as you think it might be, but there is quite a bit to do here in the Fortress of Doom. And also on the combat, I have to mention the meat hook, which is attached to the super shotgun, where basically it's a way to bring you to the enemies and deal a huge shotgun blast to them, and it's a lot of fun. You can also use that in the platforming of this game too, which just makes it so much more expansive, and like I said, it's so much fun. When it comes to the story of this game, it is told kind of in similar Doom fashion, where you find little collectibles in the game, and it kind of bridges the gap mainly between Doom Eternal and the first Doom, where it explains to you what happened with Vega, what happened with Samuel Hayden, what's going on Earth with the invasion of the demons. Even there's a lot of heaven versus hell aspects in this game, and when that brings it into the combat, it's a lot of fun, and a lot of fun in the story. There's some amazing boss fights. This game really is about the Doom Slayer, and it adds a lot of lore into this character. And I don't want to get into the spoilers, but it has something that I assumed was going to happen in the first Doom is brought into this game, and it just made me so happy to finally see it, and it was awesome. And like I said, it just adds so much lore to the Doom Slayer and just how much of a menace he is, and it's so amazing, and I can't wait to see where his journey is going to go next after Doom Eternal. And this is all too just because of how expansive they made the world, where they brought basically heaven and hell and so much more into it, and they go a lot more into Argent energy and how it's made, the potential of it. There were some storylines that I thought were going to go this way, but they didn't. Sometimes it felt like a cool switch up that they did. Sometimes it felt like there just could have been more to the story, but it was so much fun, and I had such a blast with the campaign from start to finish. It was amazing and so perfectly put together, and it's easily one of my most favorite single player campaigns that I've played in a long time, definitely since even some like the early 1, 2, 3 Halo games. So now we move on to the multiplayer, and the multiplayer around this time isn't kind of your deathmatch or kind of Quake-based multiplayer that they've had in the past. What they do is there's this new D mode where it's basically 3 people, and it's 1 versus 2, where one person takes on the persona of the Doomslayer and 2 other people take on the roles of demons. There's some class-based ones, but basically you can pick between the Revenant, the Marauder, and a bunch of other demons from the campaign, and you can customize them in certain ways. And it's just basically one game mode where it's a Slayer versus some AI and these 2 demons, and it's the team that wins 3 matches first wins the game. And I always found that the results changed up so much, where it was like even between round to round, it was really tough to see who was going to win, just because the teams switch up quite a bit, and there's buffs that you can add depending on which side you are. So the Slayer can get buffs to help him out, and the demons can get buffs to make the AI stronger, make their guns more powerful, give them a bigger health bar, just little things like that. It is a lot of fun, and there is quite a bit of ability customization in these game modes too. And like I said, it always switches up and keeps you on your toes, and it's fun. I just wish that there was more game modes than just this one game mode. It just kind of leaves you wanting more, and you don't get the more from it. The one thing that I have to find too is when it came to the customization in the first game, there was so much. It was almost like Halo, where you could customize the individual pieces of the armor, but in this time around it's just kind of full suits, and there isn't too many full suits that you can get. They do have cool looking skins, but I just really prefer the whole changing of individual colors on armor pieces and helmets and chest pieces, different guns and stances. There is quite a bit, but I just wish there was more. It felt like the first game did more for individual player, like appearance customization, than Doom Eternal did, and I just found it to be a bit of a step down. But yeah, the maps are all kind of based off of locations from the single player campaign, and they work really well as maps and they're fun. But yeah, everything's so split and it's ever changing depending on who you're playing with and who you're playing as, whether it be the demons or the marauders. There's a bunch of different ways to play it too, and it's just very challenging because it's always switching up on you, environment-wise, player-wise, ability-wise. It is definitely worth checking out. It is a pretty fun multiplayer. I just wish there was more to it, and definitely from the customization as well. But yeah, Doom Eternal looks amazing, it feels amazing, and it sounds amazing too. The guns and all the sound design in that regard are amazing, and Mick Gordon is a genius. It is unbelievable what he did with the soundtrack in this game. It's even a step up from the last game. Like I said, this game just steps it up in so many different ways, and the music is definitely one where, oh, I just wanted to headbang the entire time. It was so much fun just hearing this amazing soundtrack in the background that just fits so well into each scenario. And it's so expansive. He brought in, there's a video you can watch that I'll actually link in the description below, where he brought in a choir of heavy metal singers, and you can hear all of that in the background of the game too when you're playing in either chants or they use their voices to distort to make new sounds. And yeah, just Mick Gordon, you are the fucking man. This was awesome. But yeah, it's awesome to see how much better this game got since the first Doom was rebooted back in 2016, and I found the same thing with Wolfenstein to Wolfenstein 2. And I just can't wait to see how id takes all of these new learning experiences and new abilities and just basically new tech that they're going to get soon to just make these games bigger, better, and just keep expanding them forever and ever, because they do an amazing job with it, and Doom Eternal is no short of that as well. It is just unbelievable, and it's such an experience that is so worth paying at full price, and that's why I'm giving Doom Eternal a 9 out of 10. It's so badass. It is so awesome. It makes you feel very challenged, but once you can get those challenges in it, you feel like the unstoppable Doom Slayer that they want you to be. And it's so rewarding and so amazing, so much fun. Go get this game. Unbelievable. I don't really think there's too many words that I can just spew out to do this game justice in describing how awesome and badass it was. It's just so amazing, and I think it's one of those games that if you're a first-person shooter fan, you gotta play it because of how expansive, how much fun, and how technical that it is. And if you're a Doom fan, you're gonna love it. Like, there's no way you can be a Doom fan, step into this game, and not take away so much fun and enjoyment from it. It's just a love letter to the fans of Doom, and there's nothing more I can say. This game was amazing. Let me guys know what you thought about Doom Eternal and where you want to see the franchise go from here. If you want to see more heaven-based enemy types, whatever it is, just leave it in the comments. I'm so excited to see more from ID and the Doom series. But yeah, as always, leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. You can check out all my videos through the playlist. But yeah, awesome guys. Go pick up Doom Eternal. Unbelievable game.